All right, here we are live on this week's Trauma Informed Educators Network podcast, and this, unbelievably, is episode number 58. I cannot believe, I think it started in September of 2020, maybe, and this hasn't been it wasn't a weekly thing. It actually just started as something fun that I did randomly, and now it's pretty much weekly, and I'm really excited about this week's guest because we are both from here in our hometown of Nashville, Tennessee. We were just talking beforehand. We have friends and colleagues in common, and I cannot wait for you to hear from this week. And Calvin, how are you? Welcome to the podcast. I'm really excited to talk to you tonight.
Thank you. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here and share with you, man.
Absolutely. So tell us the Calvin Price story. Tell us about you.
Well, I'm a native of Nashville, Tennessee, of course. So they would call me a unicorn now with the growth here. So born and raised here. Attended school at Middle Tennessee State University. And from there, started working at Nissan North America in their supply chain management department. I have one son. His name is Ky-ree, whom I love very much. And from then on, I think I kind of developed what I began to see as my passion for youth itself, which began with my son. Also, my passion for fathers, which also began from my son. And the reason why I say that was because, I grew up myself in a single parent home. And, my father just wasn't present in my life due to challenges of his own, and was not able to be there for me as he wanted to. But as a child, I understood the importance of him being there. And there was no other person really, Matt, that had a voice in my life stronger than my father. Other people could say things, they could tell me things, but when my father said it, it really stuck. I mean, it stayed, it stuck with me, and it meant the most. And it really didn't matter about the challenges he faced. It didn't matter what he was going through for me as a child. All I knew was that I loved my father. And so with that passion and with that knowing, I also know how my son loves me as well. And I also know the role that a father plays in the youth today. So by having that, it has branched out into that passion being directed towards other youth in my community, other youth around me, other youth in my family. And I've come to see that more than anything, I just have a strong desire to be a positive role model, to be someone that can be there in time of need for the youth in my community and for the youth around me. And pretty much my service here now as an advocate for youth advocate programs has been one of the opportunities in which I've been able to do just that.
And, I think that we were talking a little bit earlier, but all the listeners know it's the power of one. It's the power of one relationship, right? And when we talk about relationships, the power of just an advocate, a parent, right? And it's interesting that you talk about your experience and with your father, because I just had the same conversation with someone at my school. And the love for our parents, no matter what situation is right. Always there. It's always there. And she's in a situation where she's raising one of her family members, and she talks about the love of this child's parent, who isn't her, but she is this child's mother. But just that yearning love. And I think that's so important that we understand when we're talking about these situations, because that doesn't go away.
No, it doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. And there's nobody that knows you like that parent. And, that's the reason why, it would be my desire that everyone would be able to have that intimate bond with their parents, because, when you look at them, what you see is yourself, But thankfully, there are other people who have that heart, and they can serve in that place too. And though the image may not be the same, the heart is the same, the love is the same, the care is the same, the support is the same. And so it can take someone or a youth just as far.
I find it interesting what you said, and you were talking about your experience as a kid, and then you reflected on your own child and how much he loves you. And how that you understood, even in the midst of some maybe adversity that your father had experienced. Now, as you, the father, understand the role and impact you have, not just from a father standpoint, but from a child standpoint. I mean, that's so powerful. And that is what resilience and shifting happens when you say, okay, I see that, I understand that, now it's my time.
Right. And I've seen that Matt, in my son, and it's such a blessing because when he talks to me and when we interact with one another, it's the same thing I wish I had for myself. And he's able to walk in that, and even without him saying words, because I have a son. So, there's, it's not going to just come out like, all mushy and stuff, but it doesn't have to, because as his father, I can see those instances, those expressions that just simply tell me, I love you,
And I can feel you melting, man. Like you just melted. Just thinking about it, I could feel you melting. And I'm a father too. I have an 11-year-old. And it's true. And he's in preteen. So sometimes that love can kind of get in my way because and I think that's the power of being a father, right? It is navigating those life challenges and giving him voice and letting him advocate for himself without me taking it personal, right? I think that's so important. And one of the things you want to talk about is the power of not just being being a father and having a father, but the impact of fatherless homes, right? Tell me about your passion that's driven behind that.
Yes, well, that passion comes from me just knowing the heart I have for my son. Every man, circumstance and conditions are not the same. Even though a child may come into their life, maybe everything wasn't set up. They didn't maybe have a mom and dad. They maybe didn't have the family structure that you're supposed to have. But one thing I know in talking to many men that have children is that they have the same love that I have for my child, for their children. And I'm not just talking about, hey, I love you. I'm talking about, I want to be there. I want to walk with you every step of the way of your life. And I'm committing myself to be present and active as your father forever. You know what I mean? Now, of course, unfortunately, there is the deadbeat dads that you hear, and some who maybe just haven't come to understand, their relationship. They just haven't come to that. And we don't know what they faced or what they've been through. But what I've come across is many men in my coming and goings where I've seen them at the grocery store with that son or daughter in the buggy. I've seen them walk into the gas station holding hands with their daughter. I've seen them, at the games. I've seen them at the practices. I've seen them at the rehearsals. I've seen them at the recitals. I've seen them at everything that their child is involved in. Why? Because they want to be a part of their child's life. And not only that, but they've committed themselves to do so no matter what. And so sometimes some of what we see in our communities and in our society can come from just the lack thereof. It can come from a lack where that person that's supposed to be there to give that love, that support, is not there. They're not in position. And it's no child's fault of their own. They don't have anything to do with that. And that's why I'm thankful for advocates such as myself and other community leaders that play a part in their lives. But at the same time, you can see that they come out of a home environment where that's not present.
Well, and I think too, in this work of trauma-informed work, there's this idea of intergenerational transmission. And what that means is I parent how I was parented, or my experience as an adult was similar to the experiences of the adults before me, right? Or how I handle situations. It's that I do how I was taught, or I present myself how it, and it's not by any fault of anyone, right? It's just simply, it's that intergenerational experience. And I will tell you, like, I find myself sounding just like my mom and dad. And sometimes I'm like, why did I say that? And sometimes I know better, but doing better is hard. And let's be honest, being a parent is extremely challenging because there is no textbook. There is no, it's complex. And I think the role of advocates in any space are important. So tell me about the program that you support and you work with, and exactly what you do in that role.
Okay, so I'm an advocate for a program called Youth Advocate Programs. And it's a community-based program that's centered around wrapping around the family and the youth together to support their well-being, to support their interests, and to support their future. So we're talking about a program that's, It's been around for a long time. So it has the history and has the experience. It's been around 46 years. It's in 32 states, so it's not, something that's just come along, but we're talking about techniques and we're talking about training that has come from experienced consultants and doctors that help you do just that, which is pretty much provide the highest level of support that you can to a youth participant and their family. So in my role as an advocate, what I do is I step in there and I engage with the family and I engage with the youth participants. And what I do primarily is I support their interest and I support the direction of the family that they want to go in. So it's not just youth based, it's also family based. So we wrap around everybody, so nobody's left out. So in a day for me would be on my schedule, picking up a youth participant from school. Maybe we may go get something to eat together. During this time together, I'm engaging with them. And what I'm doing during that time is I'm conversing with them to get to know who they are, to get to know the things that they like, the things that they dislike, so that I could then formulate opportunities to help them either take advantage of opportunities in their interest, or even just show them something that they never even thought they were interested in from the beginning. You know what I mean? Also, when they move in the direction of work, when they're doing things regarding school, I'm also there to help them support that. So school activities, even if it's homework, if it's something that they need to attend at school, then I'm there to support that as well. Pretty much anything that I can do to help support them and the family, then I'm there as somewhat of an intercessor to help do that and to bring that to pass, so that they can continue in a better direction, and in a direction that's going to lead them more to maybe what they probably didn't even know they had on the inside of themselves. What I see a lot of times is, I'll expose them to certain things that they just didn't even know about. And it may just be from lack of exposure, just maybe not coming across that. But then when they see it, they see it and they're like, hey, I didn't even know you could do this. I didn't even know that this was over here. So another thing that I do as an advocate is I'm very familiar, of course, because I'm a native here in Nashville, of the community. So when I recognize these interests that they have, then I'm pretty familiar with the area to say, hey, well, he enjoys music. There's a studio right over here. Let me see if I can call and arrange a session. Maybe one of the producers in there wouldn't mind, giving us maybe an hour to just talk about some of the things he does, some of the equipment that he uses. There may be another youth participant. There may be interested in sports. Could be football, could be basketball. So anytime they're interested in sports, they always want to go to the next level of their game. So hey, I know a great trainer over here. He works on a skill set. He works on shooting. Let me see if I can get with him and then bring you along with me. Maybe you can get some time in with him so that you can perfect that craft that you're interested in. So whatever that I can pretty much learn about them, I make an investment in it.
And without using names, because we know we have confidentiality, right. What is one experience that has left you, because obviously you are passionate about this, and that means that you have been fueled by that experience, right? What is an experience that you have that you walked away going, or you're still in going, I cannot believe I get the opportunity? Because it's a way I feel on a daily basis as a principal, right? I cannot believe I get the opportunity to interact with this family, this kid. I feel honored to be able to be a part. What's an experience you've had like that as an advocate?
So I'd say probably one in which there was a family and there was a youth participant who he really had a desire to get a job, but there were some challenges that he faced along the way. And, there were transportation challenges, there were documentation challenges. And, but his family was very supportive in him doing that, because it was something that he always wanted to do, because he wanted that sense of independence. I got my own job, so I can get my own stuff, and then on top of that, I don't have to ask you for anything anymore, because I can get it myself when I get this job. So, working with him was, it was very rewarding to me, because the first thing we did was we just took a ride down one of the main streets to look at different places that he might be interested in working in. And when we did that, you know, he had told me, you know, I had worked over here before and I had worked over here before, you know, and those places did not have work out. And so so we continued to look, and we put in applications online, didn't hear anything back. And then we still didn't hear anything back. And then eventually we got a call back from one of the local McDonald's restaurants. I'll never forget it. And I told him, I said, they called you back? He said, yeah, they called me back. And they said, I have, you know, my orientation is on this day. And the manager told me to come up there and to fill out my paperwork and everything like that. And I said, we're going to go. He said, I'll be ready. So I picked him up. We went over there to the orientation. Now, you know, I learn and take away just as much as they do. You know, so just for me to be able to be alongside with him was able to familiarize myself with a process that I wasn't even aware of myself. So we went there, and, you know, he went to the desk and signed himself in. Somebody came and brought us back to the back where there was an entire class, an orientation class for the new job that he got. Now that wasn't the peak of everything. The peak of everything was at the very end when they gave uniforms. So at the end, they said, well, we want to get everybody's sizes so that we can get your name tag and get your uniforms. And so we went in there with nothing, but we came out of there with a pair of pants and a uniform shirt and a name tag, because this particular youth advocate had just accomplished a goal that he set, which was to get a job. And so that was very rewarding for me, because I was with him every step of the way from start to finish. I was with him there. And so to see him kind of, you know, kind of not know what the unknown is going to hold, to him getting to the end and saying, hey, I got it. You know, I got the job, you know, was another sense of accomplishment for him in a direction of his independence. And it was just to see his expression and just the excitement that he had to do that. Hey, you can't beat it. You can't beat it. There's nothing that can top that feeling as an advocate.
You know, and I think you said something earlier that just really resonated with me, is that you're there supporting the whole family.
Yes.
You're not trying to be this advocate child. You're not trying to be his dad.
Right.
You know, he may have a mom and a dad. You're just there to like be an encourager, to tell mom, if mom is by herself, if dad's by himself, or mom and dad are there together. Hey, I'm just your cheerleader. Let me step in and just cheer you along. And let's be honest, we all need cheerleaders, right? No matter what your situation is. But what I also heard you say is you went into his own area and you looked in his own area for things that he wanted to do. And I think that is so important, because there's this idea that we got to get kids out. We got to get kids out. We got to show. Yes, that's true, that we need that experience has to happen. But there is opportunity in all places, right?
Oh, yes.
And if driven and supported by adults, kids can do amazing things. And I think that's what I keep hearing is like, hey, I was there learning too, because I haven't been through this.
Oh, yes.
Unbelievable. And so what does it take when you talk about engagement, especially with the family? What does that look like?
So engagement with the family, I guess it's kind of the heart of an advocate, because as an advocate, you know, it's hard to care and have this great concern for a youth without having a great care and concern for the person that created the youth. You see what I mean? So the person who's supporting the youth, you know what I mean? So when we engage with the youth and the family, then we do that in a way where they can feel. It's more of what they feel than what we say and what we do. We want them to feel like they are supported. We want them to feel like we are really here when we need them. And then we just want to back that up with our actions. So another thing that, engagement, of course, on the high side is always good, you know, but hey, in this line of work, you know, there are times when conflict may arise, you know, you're, as an advocate, you're interacting with the youth. You're also interacting with family. You never know when there have been clashes between the two. You never know when disagreements may arise. And that's one thing that I'll say that's been beneficial about the YAP program and just being an advocate, because I didn't come in just knowing everything. But when I came in, they trained me. So as an advocate through youth advocate programs, you're not just thrown into the fire, but they equip you. They prepare you for what you're about to do. And engagement being such a big part is part of that training that we receive. And it's helped and there's a lot of training that we actually go through as an advocate, so that we're prepared for what we do. Just basic advocacy training, and then even for relationship building, there's a training that we go through called MAT, which is for prevention, de-escalation, and intervention. And these, this training right here, what it does is it just prepares us for it. Now, you never know when the time is going to come,
but you know when it's there, don't you?
Yeah, you're right. It's there, and you have a foundation kind of to go by. So when you combine that preparation, and then you put it together with your makeup, and then you put it together with the care and the concern that you have for this family, then you got a recipe to where they can feel like you're not just a stranger, but you're actually there and you actually care.
It's so interesting, because the more I listen to you, the more I think of course, I'm always going to connect it to my experience as an educator and teacher and principal. And I think how we get it so wrong sometimes in education, when we have our focus, and yes, we are schools, and yes, we are educating students, but when we leave the parents out of it, or even worse, we hold parents without empathy and understanding that their experiences impact their daily, right? Like, just because they're adults, that like adversity doesn't still occur, or that they're still not in situations that they may struggle in, or they should have specific skills that we feel that they should have that they may not. But I hear you saying, like, you're walking in going, hey, we're gonna manage and support and build relationships, whatever the situation is, and be prepared for whatever it is, because that is the key. And in education, that's the missing piece, where we just want to get upset with parents because they don't do this, they don't do that, they don't do this. But at the end of the day, I always say they're doing the best they can given whatever situation. I mean, we all are, right? Right. And I think that is so powerful of the paradigm that I feel we have to shift, because it's about that. And I even go to thinking, in my school right now that I'm currently leading, we have a family resource center, right? Where we have diapers, and we have clothes, and we have food, and we have all these things. And it's because it's about the community. It's not about just the child. And I've, like you, probably had many parents share very private things with me because they felt that was a safe space and place to do. And I feel so honored that they trusted me to do that. I've had many closed door sessions where parents come in yelling and cussing at me. And then my secretary's like, how do you have them come out hugging and thanking you? And I'd say, literally, I just listen. That's it.
Oh, yes. Listening is very important. I put that, I was thinking earlier today about, some of the parts of engagement, and I thought about 3 different aspects of it. And the first one was bond building, and the second one was listening. And because you really have to be a good listener. And first of all, you can't find out where you can help and where you can support unless you listen, unless you take the time to listen. And so, another thing that connects me to a lot of the families, the mothers and the fathers, of course, or the guardian, is because I'm a parent myself, and along the course,
the struggle is real, even if you have resources.
Exactly, man. I know the struggle is real. I know that challenges come, and I know that when challenges have come my way, the same way that I was able to reach out for support and help is the same way that they want to be able to have that same support and that same help to make it through their challenges in the same way that I made it through mine. So it goes back to what you said. I mean, you can say, well, somebody's supposed to have it all together, or they're supposed to, already have this, already have that. But at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I'll be honest. Some of the best bridges I've ever built with parents is being brutally honest about my own parenting. And I'll tell you, I have a master's degree in education. I can handle 325 other people's children, but sometimes my own pushes me to the brink. And I have said that to parents, and I'm honest. Like, I don't have this figured out. Like, don't feel like that I'm judging you, because
Yes.
There's days I'm like, what am I doing as a parent?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
and I think that's it. That authenticity is so important. And I know another thing I want to highlight, what I feel from you is you're not coming across as we have to come in and save the children.
Yeah, no.
And that is so important. What I heard you say is, listen, this kid had a goal.
Mhm.
They had the ability. They had the skill. They just needed the guidance and support. All you did was just be there. Like they have the brilliance and genius. It's just letting them identify it for themselves. Yes. That is a key. Talk more about that role of I'm not coming to save the kids, because that's not what it's about.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's really not about saving anybody, you know.
That's right.
It's about giving myself, you know, to support this particular youth or this particular family. So it's not a goal of saving anything. It's me stepping in and say, hey, I'm here to be used. You know, what can I do to help? And so, you know, if you take away, you can't just go in there and start directing everything, because then you take away the independence that they crave for. You see what I mean? Like they crave for that independence. So it's no use in going in there and orchestrating everything the way you want it to be, because that takes away their way of doing it. And every way does not going to look like your way. You know what I mean? There's a lot of ways that different things can be accomplished. And one of the unique things I've been able to see is just the different ways that they can go about doing something and ending up at the same result. You see? So the only thing is, the only thing that bridges them from their goal to achieving it is just, okay, well, how do I get there? You know,
that's right.
How do I get there? If in the example that I gave you, well, I want to get a job is the goal. Okay, well, I need to somehow get to the place so I can go to the orientation. Well, hey, you know, mom is at work, dad is at work. You know, nobody's really available to take me, you know, over to this orientation that I got. You know, hey, let me call Calvin. Hey, you know, I had an orientation. Can you take me? I sure can. You know, what time is it? We'll have you there, not on time, but a few minutes before. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So then they go in there and then they're able to do the rest themselves. I just bridge the gap.
You know, and I've been in Nashville, I guess now it's been almost 20 years. And as you mentioned earlier, you are a unicorn, because most people here are not from Nashville. Exactly. I've been here long enough to see the major transformation of our city. And I'm going to be honest, Calvin, people call it the it city. And sometimes I say you got to put the shh sound in front of it, because it has not worked for everybody. And let me tell you, what I've seen communities go through in my own community that I am a principal in, where 70% of the kids used to live in my community. Now only 30% do, because of the gentrification. Is we went from strong communities with community support to our neighborhoods being busted up because of gentrification. And now some of those support systems where this neighbor would take this point or this person would watch the kid. In the 7 years that I've been a principal, I have seen that so negatively impacted, where those networks of support that used to be neighborhood based are now no longer there. And families are struggling because of the support systems that they used to have that they don't have anymore. And I can see this, being again, that bridge. It's not that the families can't or don't want to. It's they don't have the resources. They don't have the capacity. Or they're trying to survive the day to day, and they don't have an extra pair of hands.
Yes, you're exactly right. And see, I think I mentioned that earlier when I talked about being familiar with the community, you know, and of course, you know, being here in Nashville, because one of the things that I saw personally, you know, myself in participation with these youth participants is that we would go to some of the local recreation community centers. And, you know, there's a particular place where we held sessions where we would just have talks together. You know, we would all just talk and just go through different things and different topics that just allowed them to open up and do certain things. But one thing I was able to see was how the staff at those community centers also wrapped around them. So as we continue to go, you know, they wasn't just there to sign in on the sheet and go back to the back, but they got to know these same participants that I would come in week after week with, you know, and they embrace them as well, to the point to where they would come in and hey, I already know what you want to do. Yeah, the gym's open. Go ahead up there and get your ball. You see what I'm saying? So now you have the family, you have me, And now, even though this other support is not directly beside them or directly in the community that they live in, but I've taken them to it, you see. And so that support, even though it's not there, they still they still become wrapped in it, and they still get to be partake in it, I guess.
And I think about too, at a school who really gets it, who understands and gets it. And that's why this podcast is here, to try to help educators see the impact we can have. So if we have the community center caring and loving and wrapping themselves around kids, if we have advocates caring, loving, and wrapping themselves around families and kids, I'm just going to say that for everything. If we have schools that care and love and wrap themselves around the families and kids, that is how we build resilient communities and kids. It's how we transform our students and our kids. It's not that we're doing it for them. It's that we're providing the catalyst and avenue for them to do it for themselves.
Yes.
And I think we just serve as that conduit to their own greatness. We're just there for the ride. They're the ones living the greatness. I just think this is so powerful. I mean, and I would encourage people who are listening to this. You said it was, how many states is the organization?
32.
So if you are in one of these 32 states, you need to look this up. If you have the time, you have the passion, because again, it only takes one caring adult, and that's it. That's all it takes.
Yes. Yes.
So if they want to learn more, right? Where can they find out information about the organization that you support?
So you can go online to www.yapinc.org. There you'll have the information, the opportunities. Any way you want to get involved will be on that website.
Awesome. And I'm gonna go look at the website, because you have sparked my interest, and I also think, man, if faith-based community could get involved in this piece of just holding space for kids, standing in space and saying, hey, you know what? We're just here. We don't need anything. We're just here. That's all we are. I'm just here. I'm here when it's bad. I'm here when it's good. Just call me and I'm going to be here no matter what. I love that. So, Calvin, I don't know if you want to share anything, but if people want to get a hold of you or get in touch with you, how can they find you?
So I can be reached at email on Gmail, fathertofatherlife@gmail.com. And, I say that and I put that out there because it reminds me of when you talked about earlier. I didn't get a chance to interject on it, but when you said as a parent, you don't know everything, and so one of the things that I do in Father to Father Life is that's what it is. It's about one father giving another father what they've learned about being a father. You see, and so all of what we have learned through our experiences are able to help all of us together father our own children. Why? Because none of us know it all. You see, but there's something that you have learned in your experience that can help me along my way, and something that I can learn along my experience that can help someone else, and vice versa. And so, yes, so that's what I do, and that's what I have a passion for, because I could hear it in your voice, just about your children and everything. Like you are why my passion is so strong, because I know, a father that doesn't care, it wouldn't even matter to them that they didn't know it all. But see, one that does, even though they don't know it all, they're going to try.
Yeah.
Because they want to be the best father that they can be no matter what.
And I'm going to tell you what, if there is a father out there listening that knows it all, contact me, because I need to know some more. I mean, I'm still I'm at a preteen right now. He's 11. I'm going to need to know in the next 4 years, like, how do I handle it? What's the next step? Like, if you're ahead of that, and I'll be honest, I talk to people all the time. And Calvin, I think what we need to consider is like a father-to-father circle here in Nashville. And let's just get dads together. Let's just sit around in a circle. And let's not, we don't want to be from the same neighborhoods. We don't want to be. No. Let's just talk. Because I think what we're going to learn is, one, none of us know what we're actually doing, really.
Right.
We're all just trying to figure out. Two, we have something to learn from each other. And everybody has something to give. Yes. Everybody has something to learn. And at the end of the day, let's commit as fathers to support each other. I mean, and I'm not joking you when I say that. I'm going to reach out and I'm going to say, let's try it. Let's throw it out there. If we have 10 people, it'd be a good time of 10 of us going, all right, y'all, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to tell you what I've learned. Now you tell me what, I know you don't know. Don't act like you know what you're doing. Let's just talk about what we've learned.
Yes.
We're going to have to pull that off. And I think we know a few people already that we know mutually that
sure
will
do.
sit in this circle with us. So
we sure do. I'll definitely be waiting.
So for those of you listening, I think we've just got a dual commitment between myself, Calvin, and the people that we know mutually that we're going to try to pull this off in the next couple months, because I'm going to be honest, parenting isn't getting any easier. I know that as a principal, kids have cell phones now at the earliest of first grade. Kids are having access to things on their phones that they should not at a very early age. Kids are accessing and communicating with each other via phones that are not monitored at too young of an age. There's so much that we can learn from each other. So Calvin, thank you so much for being on here. I really appreciate it. For those of you listening, as you can see on the bottom of the screen, if you are listening or if you're watching live, the Trauma Informed Educators Network Conference is in its third year, and it is back in Nashville in person. We are still trying to determine if we're going to do in person and virtual, because we don't want anybody to miss out on it. But it is June 15th and 16th. It's going to be hosted at a local university here, Lipscomb University. The RFP is open. So if you have something like, hey, I think I want to share this, Calvin, you need to write this down. If you have something to share with people, put that proposal into the RFP. You can find that on the Trauma Informed Educators Network podcast Facebook page. You can also find it on the Trauma Informed Educators Network page. And that RFP is open until the 14th of this month. And then registration will go on sale on March 1st. It has sold out every year we've done it in the last two. And actually, it was going to sell out the third, but we had to cancel it because of COVID. It will sell out because it is a small, tiny little conference by design. It only has 300 people. And like I just said to Calvin, after every 2 sessions, you actually join a circle with the same group of people over the course of 2 days to process all of your learning and to create a network of people who believe and are moving this work in the same direction. So it is a great opportunity to connect, collaborate, and learn around this work. So thank you all who are live here and listening. And for those of you who are tuning in, thank you for continuing to tune in. The only way that this podcast can get more listeners is for you giving a positive review, you sharing it with your friends. And at the end of the day, it's how we collaboratively, as disruptors, unite. And you can see at the bottom, that is the hashtag of Disruptors Unite. We are willing and ready to disrupt the systems that we know are not working for our kids, our families, and our communities. So please join that. Calvin, thank you so much. And for those of you listening, thank you so much. And I will be back next week.